Hey guys, hope everything is going well. This is going to be an impromptu live stream. And I just wanted to touch base on some of the news this past week. I have to take this text message right now. All right. Anyways, yeah, I just wanted to touch base on what's going on in the hobby. And I wanted to clarify a few things. So, I did a video yesterday regarding what is it called? It was Ken Golden and how his firm is going to be part of a new marketplace. And in this marketplace, you could pretty much do like ComC. So it's pretty interesting, pretty nice, right? And right now, I believe, and this is what I think South Park Cards told me the other day. He told me that I think shipping is $1, $1. So if shipping is $1, you buy the card, then I'd love to have some of these cards, right? And I think this is quite interesting. So P Ryan collection, I'm not. I have a lot of respect for P Ryan. And what P Ryan told me was that, hey, look, man, um, this is where he was disagreeing with what I was saying is that people set the price, the sellers set the price. It's not golden auctions, right? And I thought about this, and yes, the sellers on the platform that list items, they do set the price. There's no doubt about that. But the other issue compared to eBay is right now, living with LT. Yeah, what's going on, man? That's awesome to hear. I'm your number one fan. But yeah, the thing is that not last, I remember Golden Auctions had some of these Jeter cards and they seem to be overpriced. On eBay, there's more volume. That's what I was telling P. Ryan, right? This is my disagreement with him. Now, the other thing that I did in the video, send the video, which a lot of people were getting very emotional and angry about, triggered. And I was saying that, hey, look, Golden is going to be probably putting some of their cards up there, right? Setting the price. And I don't think that is a conspiracy theory. Some people are saying, hey, that's a conspiracy theory. So let me ask you this. And this is what I asked people in the comment section all over. I asked them, hey, look, if PSA has all of these cards that people didn't pay for, right? They had a backlog. This is what Darren Rovell said, right? 10 million cards. Okay. If you have a backlog of 10 million cards, where are some of these cards going, right? If people aren't paying for it. So let's just take a look at the comments and then go from there. Collector's Dream. Hello, everyone. Hey, what's going on? Living with LT. Notice that the influencers all of a sudden are making videos on their losses. Yeah, that's quite interesting. I think in February and March of last year, or I think it was May, they're saying that the hobby is alive and now they're showing their L's. So now if the influencers are showing the L's, is this another contradictory or is this one of these contrary indicators? I think it is, right? Another contrary indicator. I think a lot of markets are going to be going higher now. Yeah, there's the debt ceiling situation, so that may create volatility in the marketplace, but it is what it is. Kamikaze, pump up the jam. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Low roller scratcher. Bitcoin is back at $22,000. You think sports cards pump next? I think a lot of markets are going to be pumped up higher, but that's just going to be due to the economic situation. I think the Fed's going to pause. If the Fed pauses, like I think they will, then that will definitely help the markets, at least in the short run. I'm not very bullish, though, in the long run. Bob Boozle says, I will avoid anything gold turn green touches. So the thing is, if I find a card that is at an attractive value and I could find a deal for now, sure, why not? Now, I do think that the shipping costs will go higher in the future. It's probably to get more people to the vault, but I'm not spending tens of thousands of dollars on Golden. A lot of people complain to me that use Golden, or I've gotten messages saying that, hey, look, I have to pay a lot for shipping on Golden, right? So that's the one thing out there. Living with LT, influencers are desperate for views, clicks, clouts, and need to buy more subscribers. Oh, yeah, most definitely. I mean, I think I sent you LT one Star Wars guy. You could see his YouTube subscribers just 6x within a month span. So, it is what it is. All right. Videos you watch, bull or bear? I don't know who's that comment. Towards Boboozle, shipping needs tracking. I'm not sure what you're talking about. I mean, I just bought a few cards on Golden. I haven't seen if the tracking number has been sent to me. And it seems that if they're spending $1 on shipping from the vault, they're going to have to pay a price for that in the short run. Ziggy No says, cheers. What's going on, man? What's going on? So yeah, let's go back to the topic of Golden, right? People are saying that this is a crazy theory that, hey, look, if there are a bunch of unpaid cards, I was asking them, first of all, where will these uncards go, right? And I was just trying to think of numbers. How can you quantify how many people haven't paid for their cards? I was thinking, okay, what 1.5 to 2% of the population defaults on the credit card bills. So could you use that metric to compare that to the total amount of cards out there in the backlog? So what, 1.5% times what, 10 million? Are you saying 150,000 cards haven't been paid and accounted for? I don't know. It may be much less than that, but what I do know is that people will not pay for their cards where they were waiting for over a year and a half, and now their card values have plummeted, or they've lost income, or whatever the reason is. So, where are those cards going to go? Does collectors have another avenue to deal with these cards? That's what I'm thinking right now. And I mean, would it be given to the state? Probably not. The government? Probably not. And I'm thinking more in the lines, hey, you got a auction place out there, then guess what? These will be used for their own website. Obviously, there's going to be sellers out there, legit sellers, but I think some of the people that are selling right now on collectors or on that Golden side is people from collectors, right? PSA. But that's just my theory out there. Bob Boozle says, do you think they're junk slabs? I mean, some people may consider them junk slabs, but ultimately, the card values, they're not going to go to zero, right? There were some cards right now that were about, what, $5? And if you could get it shipped to your home very cheaply, then why not, right? So it is what it is. So I was just thinking of that. Now, a few other things. Let's see. Oh yeah, he says what up to Ziggy. A few other things that I was thinking of. So the playoffs are this weekend. What do you guys think about the playoffs? Who do you think is going to win this weekend? I'm just thinking, okay, I think one of the top quarterbacks in the league right now is Allen, right? And I've said this from the beginning of this year. I said Josh Allen has everything going for him. Okay. He has the height, he has the arm side, not arm side, but I think they measure the hand size. And if you look at that, it's good in the cold weather with the larger hand size. High IQ with the Wonderlic score. He can run. So he has everything that a team wants. So that's why I was very bullish on Josh Allen this year. And I do think that Josh Allen, in order to be a successful quarterback in the long run, he needs to stop running as much. But let's take a look at what LT has to say. Let's see how much QB sales go on this weekend. Patrick Mahomes is GOAT, and he's winning Super Bowl #2. He could. And I think Patrick Mahomes is up there in terms of quarterback talent. I mean, yeah, he can run, but I don't think he needs to run to be successful. He's a very good in the pocket passer. And then you have Kelsey out there. So, and Ziggy No says, chicks dig big hands too. Quite interesting. I can't shake this feeling that the Jags will win tomorrow. Will they? I mean, I remember Jacksonville. I don't know for some of you that are younger. I'm not too old, but I remember Mark Brunell took the Jacksonville Jaguars to the AFC Championship game, and that was just wild. I think in the second round that year they beat John Elway and the Broncos. That was phenomenal. Like, I was cheering for Mark Brunell, the quarterback of the Jags, because he was a lefty and I'm a lefty. So those were actually some quite interesting times, right? So, yeah, that's just the other thing. Now, in terms of eBay, so it's quite interesting. I wanted to highlight this. I talked about this in my video the other day. And if you're buying a high-end card, and I want to say that now now I could see why sports card radio only plays in the small end of cards, because there's a lot of hanky panky that goes down, right? And there's less risk in the low end market. And I've played a lot in the low end market, and people have mocked me for playing in the low end market. But the reality is, in the low end market, I don't, if supposedly if I had bought a card that was fraudulent, trimmed, whatever, right? Then it's okay. I could pay for it without any problem, right? What if I buy a card and then it goes to, tens of thousands of dollars, right? And then I find out it's it's fake, right? And the last person holding it, I'm going to have to cough up that money, right? And that's just the issue out there. Judson says that Jags upset propelled the Broncos to win back-to-back. Yeah, I think John Elway got really ticked off, and then they were able to win. That was pretty good, right? I remember that against the Packers. Babuzel says, I like what Sports Card Radio said several months ago. Think of cards as inventory, not investments. Yeah, the vast majority of cards are not worth investing. And yeah, the high-end cards, assuming that there's nothing wrong with it, people, if they're investing or speculating, timing is very key for it, right? Yeah, 2020, 21, but there are times where there's card values that don't go up, right? And I've talked about that. So what do you think about eBay authenticating an item, then de-authenticating, saying it was a fake? Yeah, so I did a video about that, and this is what I was talking about. So you could buy a card for maybe thousands of dollars, and then you do nothing to it, and then you decide to sell it. And first of all, it's authenticated by PSA, a graded card. And then you go out and then you want to sell on eBay, and then it's not authenticated. And then you're thinking, what do you do then? So assuming that dude, Jerry Colvin, I believe that guy's name, assuming that he was saying everything correctly and all of his receipts were accurate, I mean, that's a huge problem, right? And I get people say that I'm negative, this and that, just for bringing these type of stories out. But I think this is actually very important to talk about, because once again, the mainstream of the hobby is not going to discuss it because they're scared of offending the wrong people. But for me, These type of videos help me. Okay, how am I going to tackle sports cards, if I'm speculating? Yeah, I collect as well. Everyone collects, everyone speculates, right? Some do more, some do less, right? So if you're just looking at that, how do you protect yourself in this situation? And these are questions that we need to definitely discuss. And that's why I'm going more towards low end cards. That's why if I'm going to speculate, it's going to be low end because once again, less risk. And this authentication problem, eBay needs to clarify what's going on. I hope the higher ups in the hobby highlight this, right? It'd be nice if some of these bigger YouTube channels discuss this. I don't care at this point if it's, people take this idea, right? I mean, it wasn't my original idea. It came from, I think, that Twitter feed, but it needs to be talked about because where do a lot of people buy their cards? They buy their cards on eBay, right? And if people lose confidence in that process, then they're going to go elsewhere, right? They may go to the shows or they may buy on eBay, but they may sell on a different platform because they don't have the confidence dealing with the authentication problem or process, right? Maybe a few $100 card, okay, fine. But if it's over $1,000, people will be like, no, that's too much of a risk. What if they find something that wasn't found before, right? What if they say it's trimmed, but you don't think it's trimmed, right? And they didn't think it was trimmed before. I just got a random ass alert on eBay to see DAP Sports do a live break. That's quite interesting. Ryan says, what's going on, man? My idiot state, Massachusetts, is setting up sports betting. I wonder how this will affect modern card sales. What could possibly go wrong, says Joe Jackson and Pete Rose. Well, people, they don't need to gamble on sports. They could just gamble in, what is it called? Sports cards, right? And it's completely legal that way. So if you're an athlete, if you're someone like Mike Trout, you could be like, hey, look, I'm a collector. It doesn't matter, right? Oops. Mike went a little crazy here. PSA eBay should just start disclosing reasons why they reject cards. It'll stop a lot of the criticism and backseat graders. That would be a start. I think Nat Turner is accessible, but I think ever since that situation about his cards and grading, I think Dan the Cardman did pretty good videos on it. He questioned Nat Turner, and then Nat Turner said very sternly, well, we should avoid grading cards at home. But Nat Turner didn't address the two other cards in that situation. So that's a huge problem. So let's look at this. Maximus Pumpernickel. In my opinion, you can pretty much milk anything. Oh my God. Bob Boozle says, I can see a world where everyone's disposable income goes to NFL bets. Really? Who knows? What if they give that? What is that system that they're gonna do in the future? That income, I forget the top of my head. But if they give that basic income or whatever it's called, and some people that don't make too much money get that income, then who knows where they're gonna blow it. Last time they did it, they spent that money in sports cards, right? They spent that money in sports cards. The Mangini collection, my man. Hey, man, you should come on one of these days. I'd really like to have you on. You have one of the better collections here in the hobby. Maximus says CSG to the moon. Yes, CSG to the moon. Now, I want to go back to what Bob Boozle was saying. He said that PSA/eBay should disclose reasons why they should reject cards. It'll stop a lot of criticism and backseat graders. Okay, so PSA needs to start disclosing why they reject it, but they can't because I think it's eBay's contract they signed with them. I think there's some sort of non-disclosure agreement. And with that non-disclosure agreement, guess what? Or I believe there's a non-disclosure agreement. And since there's a non-disclosure agreement, well, then you can't talk about it. So it's just unfortunate. I know that PSA does have non-disclosure agreements out there. So a lot of these businesses use it. So I could understand from a branding perspective. The Mangini collection. How do I get in contact with you? I mean, just maybe, I don't know, email me or something like that, or contact me, leave a, where can I contact you? I was trying to find where I could contact you, but I'd definitely like to have you on. Mangini Live. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm just thinking with this situation with eBay, are you guys going to spend less money with them? Are you going to buy cards elsewhere? Are you going to buy cards on gold, not golden, but maybe at shows more? I think that, okay, if you go to a show, are there more risks of buying a counterfeit card out there because there's no certification process? With eBay, you could get that certification process, right? So, from a buyer's point of view, I personally would like to see that, if I can't see it with my own eye. But then if you're selling it and then they come back to you, I think this is where eBay needs to chime in. And if eBay does not chime in, I think what's going to end up happening is people will start suing eBay. Who knows? There could be a class action lawsuit, or if it's a car that's in the worth hundreds of thousands of dollars and they buy it off of Probstein and then they try to relist it to Probstein, I think there's going to be issues. So just from this perspective, I don't know who watches these videos, on eBay or Fanatics. I think this would be something eBay needs to definitely look at. If Nat Turner's gets attention to what's going on with the situation, I think he needs to definitely look at that. Now, they may not care about a small transaction here and there because guess what? Their job is to make the most amount of money. And if one person gets screwed over, well, it's not their problem, right? Until it becomes a problem, until maybe a big channel exposes it. And that's when I think they'd probably do something about it. But, a small thing like this, it's maybe usually a channel like mine that discusses it, a small channel out there. Bob Boozle says, look in the mirror and say Mangini 3 times. He appears. Well, I don't think that's possible there. Steve, my man, what's going on? Yeah, maybe we should do a live stream with you and LT next week. Bob Boozle says the eBay authentication is going through some growing pains. I have faith they'll figure it out. I hope they do. So I was discussing this with Miles, and he was actually DMing me before I went on live. But when I had Miles on, very smart guy, by the way, he said that the authentication process may be different in the future. So suppose PSA does authenticate these cards. Well, maybe you'll have to put in the vault to avoid this sort of problem that we've seen with this Jerry Colvin guy. I think that could work out, especially for the higher end cards. And if you do that, I think that could restore confidence and trust. And we shall see, though. But some people do want delivery of that card. So what if someone wants delivery of that card, right? Because they buy it, technically it's their right to get it delivered to them, right? Just like in a futures contract, if someone wants to take delivery and pay all that money, it's their right, you know. Did you see the Panini Redemptions garbage? I've heard about it, and it's from what I've heard, it's just a flat out mess. I think what's his name? Neo did a video on this. So yeah, I don't think they care anymore, and especially with Fanatics taking over all of the hobby, and eventually they'll probably be buying out Panini. So Panini just wants to make the most amount of profit out there. They want to make the most amount of profit because guess what? No one's going to do anything to them. And even if they're sued, nothing is going to happen, right? Because I think that lawyer, he was on what, Luca Nation. I think he was talking about it, and it's just flat out outrageous. I'm game. We can discuss the beta male. Oh boy. Oh boy. Yeah. I think that dude is keep on making videos about us, but it is what it is. We'll talk about it at that time. But it is a weird situation. Hamza, what's going on, man? Golden Auctions looks at the bottom line and not really caring for consigners. Yeah, I've heard that as well. And I've heard that only if it becomes a major problem in social media, they will react to it quickly. I think then Ken Golden gets involved and he says, hey, just DM me or email me and, we'll take a look at this. So, yeah, it's, it is a business, right? I do believe in the marketplace, but, you know, this whole few years, it's created a lot of, in my opinion, monopolies, but that was because of, all that Fed money printing and the lockdowns, which created this huge boom in collectibles, which has actually brought us together. So there's a bright side to that. Steve Splenda, Neo covered it really well. It's a mess. Yeah, I'm going to have to take a look at that video. All right. Las Vegas collectibles. What's going on, man? AIH, great timing. Wifey putting baby to sleep. Keep up the great work. Cheers. Hey, man, what's going on? What's going on? Hamza, do you think Fanatics will buy Golden in the future? I don't think Fanatics will do that. Fanatics has Fanatic auctions. So I'm just thinking, who would they buy? Obviously, they need the money to buy up another auction house. I mean, they technically could buy up a Heritage if they ever want to go on sale, or one of these other big auction houses. Or what they could do is they could buy a small auction house and then just make it huge, right? I wonder if they'll do that and go from there. They already have Fanatics auctions, so I think that's what Fanatics is going to do. They're going to probably use Fanatics auctions to try to compete against the eBays, the ComCs, the Goldens of the world, and PWCC of the world, right? All of these companies have vaults. And for me, I personally like having the card on hand, unless if it's a very expensive card. I understand for insurance purposes, for some wealthy people, a vault is needed, storage is needed. So I completely understand that sentiment out there. So that's just one thing. Ryan McClanahan says, have you ever contacted Ken Golden and asked him about the master situation? I don't think there's any use in contacting Ken about that. I may actually do a video on that lawsuit and go over it just to like, hey, look at our past to understand our future. But this is quite interesting, right? I think there was a press release, 7-8 years ago about Mastro, and Golden didn't say too much about it. I think I have to look at that, what it said. Hamza says, I haven't had a bad experience with Golden Vault. Avoid sales tax. Yeah, that's what I saw. I just bought a few cheap cards today on Golden Vault, and the process seemed pretty seamless. But now, how long will it take to get it shipped out? That's the thing. I think they have issues right now with staffing, or yeah, I think right now they're trying to get their act together. Bob Boozle. Fanatics should go deeper into sports cards. Go after betting high-end experiences. Yeah, they're getting involved in the betting arena. That's why the CEO got rid of the CEO stopped, or he sold his share of the Philadelphia 76ers. He was a minority owner in it, so he sold that to avoid the conflict of interest. So, yeah, it is what it is. I believe that there are already too many marketplaces. There needs to be consolidation of the marketplaces. Yeah, I wonder how it's going to be if the economy, with the reset that I talk about, if it gets really bad, somewhere between 2024 and 2026, are some of these guys and gals going to be around? You could look at a lot of people in the hobby. Are some of you guys and gals going to still be around? Are these companies going to be around, right? I don't think they're going to go bankrupt, but if you have a crazy situation like 2008, who knows? Who absolutely knows? Kyle, what's going on, man? Team Crowder or Team Daily Wire? Laugh out loud. That's an interesting situation. I've been following it now. Yeah, I still need some more information and context about it, but it's just really strange on both ends. Now the thing is, I think goes in all businesses, right? With the DW is, they have to deal with tech, and there's certain rules with tech, right? You can't say certain things, and the government actually has a handle on big tech. So it's a very complicated situation. I mean, you don't need to sign that contract, right? You could walk away. Hamza says Walt returns look about 1 to 2 weeks, but yes, inconsistent from the customer side of things. Yeah, customer service, I definitely think needs to be improvement on on PSA's end. I've heard a lot of issues with that. So I think Collectors Universe needs to invest in customer service moving forward. I've heard decent things about SGC and CSG. So it is what it is. Or some kind of third-party listing for sellers. It's a mess to try and list on multiple sites. There's too many resources for sellers to list on every marketplace. Yeah, I think there's way too much competition. So now when there's competition, that's actually good for pricing. That's good for people. That's what is it called? It's just good for pricing. That's why I was able to get some cheap cards right now, and the shipping costs are pretty good. Bob Boozle says, I like competition of marketplaces, allows for arbitrage. Yeah, there's potential opportunities out there, right? And now, like I was saying, suppose PSA, like I was assuming, PSA is selling their cards that people aren't paying for through golden auctions, right? Or golden marketplace. Well, are they trying to liquidate it and where you could get a deal? And on top of it, you could pay not too much for the shipping for right now. Now, the thing is, how long will it take to get it shipped out? Because there's a lot of people working on the vault system right now, the listings, right? I understand that's time intensive. Okay, this is hilarious. Johnny says, AIH, I need some investment advice. Should I keep all my Trey Lance cards or sell and go all in Brock Purdy after the playoffs? I can't give you investment advice, man. I cannot. It takes too many resources for sellers to list everything. Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure. Arbitrage is great for buyers, no argument there, but how long can it be sustained by the seller side? Yeah, I mean, the thing is, there are there's so much supply of cards right now, a ridiculous amount of supply. And now, once again, you have so many options. We did not have this many options in what, 2020, right? The investments were being made at that point. So if you have that situation, yeah, it's once again great for buyers, collectors, speculators, but then sellers. The sellers may be out of luck unless they were buying the cards way before, right? If they're buying the cards way before, then, you know, that's good. You have a good point. You have a good brand, Las Vegas. You are in the best position for multiple marketplaces. Yeah, I would just try to think which is a good marketplace out there in the country. Yeah, I'm out in the middle of the US, right? Chicago. We have that Rosemont show out here, which a lot of people come from small towns. Some people were telling me, hey, they wanted to drive up from Michigan. I think it was BK Sports Cards told me about this. So, yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking, okay, is New Jersey a good marketplace for sports cards? I mean, for people on the West Coast, going out there, if I don't think that's ideal. Now, I do think that Texas, they have the Dallas show out there. Now, I think I was talking to someone about this. I don't remember who, but the Dallas show, a lot of people tend to go there. Now, are people going to go to Dallas for maybe a national in the future? I don't know. I know they're going to do in Cleveland. I know what Steve Splenda and what Neo live near there, so it's going to be good for them. But is Cleveland, a big enough city for all of that? You know, I don't know. I mean, people still will go there, but I don't think I'll go there. But I'll see. I haven't been to Cleveland, Ohio. Ohio, let's go. Right? Like I know the area quite well here in Chicagoland. Now, in terms of the hotel space, people they don't need to stay in Rosemont. They could go to Park Ridge. They could go to the suburb surrounding it. But I do think that people, if they are going to go to the National, they should be booking hotel pretty soon, right? Because then there's going to be more demand and the price is going to go higher. So if you know you can make it and you have the funds, you should definitely head out there. JB, the mistake by the lake. Okay. Hamza says, why is that a lot of the sports collectible card shops are located in New Jersey? Probstein, Golden, etc. I'm assuming the tax benefits are great for collectibles business there. Can you elaborate? Well, I don't know too much about the tax structure in New Jersey, so I want to be careful talking about that. But I do know that there's millions of people living there, right? So if you have millions of people in that area and rich individuals, so that's why you'll see that, right? California also, Southern California has a lot of people in the hobby. You have what, Burbank, right? Burbank is pretty large down there. Steve says, Hobby Shark went live, bro. Oh man, I gotta check that out. I'm probably gonna leave in a few minutes. There's other live streams that usually happen at 7 o'clock. Blasted that beta mail is defending you. That's awesome. That's good to hear. We should maybe have a Hobby Shark on one of these days. I think that would be great. I know he has a busy schedule with his kids. I'll take a look at that. Las Vegas collectibles. Is it due to just the long history of collectors on the East Coast, especially in the Northeast? It could be, Right, there's quite a few people out there. I think this would be a good question for anyone that interviews Probstein or Golden and anyone like that. How are people, why there's so many people out there, why there's so many shops down there? How's the Funko market? I would buy a Rahul Hanky Panky Funko 101 LE. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Well, the pieces that are commons, they're taking a dip, and also the ones that are popular are taking a dip. But if it's a high in demand Funko Pop, people will buy, right? I mean, this is not the 2019 market. 2019 was phenomenal before the pandemic because people had it was a booming economy at that time. So people were just spending left and right. Now we're in a situation of higher interest rates, just like sports cards. People, they don't want to pay that much for sports cards because they have maybe some credit card debt and their interest payments went higher. The rent around here, this is a topic I wanted to discuss, maybe one of my last topics, but the rent for people has gone up like crazy over the past few years. And I remember in March of 2020, people were scared of buying a home, right? But then all this easy money put a lot of people buying, or it made people rush to buy homes, right? Probably at the worst moment, but people rushing and they overpaid. And now some property taxes have gone up, right? My property tax went up a little bit. So I have to pay a little bit more just for everything, right? And now I remember talking to my barber. She said that her sister-in-law, they went from paying $1,700 for rent, and now they were asked to pay $2,400, and then they decided to buy a home because that's ridiculous. $700 increase. So if this is happening where I'm living in a high property tax state, then what's going on in the rest of the country? So that means less money is being allocated to collectibles, Funko Pops, sports cards, etc. Now it will pick back up, in my opinion, but that's just something to note. I did wanted to get into that. Bob Boozle says, I think it's venue related and scheduling. That could be the case. Hamza says, tech layoffs are getting crushed with layoffs. Do you see more coming? I mean, you could. I mean, the ironic thing about this is I did see the stock prices of these companies go higher. I think Google or Alphabet, they laid off people, the stock price went higher. I have a little bit of exposure to Google as a disclosure. Coinbase, I have some exposure to it. They laid off some people, their stock went up after that. So, yeah, it sucks for people that are getting laid off. Now, I think I believe that a lot of people are buying that. Or, I mean, a lot of people, they're getting laid off. So it's just unfortunate. And do I think some other tech companies may that haven't? They probably will, just to bump up the stock price, in my opinion. Ryan says the inflation rate is 2x average than the increased pay. Yeah, we should actually talk about it when I bring you on sometime this year. That'll be an interesting topic. But yeah, now it's 7 o'clock Central Time. I think I'm gonna head out. I'm gonna eat some food soon, and I know some other people are doing live streams. So, anyways, guys, I'll talk to you later. And all right, guys, see ya. Bye.